I'm going through that shit right now as we speak. My life is not together, bro. I'm spiraling.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's going on, everybody? As we all know, mental health is a huge piece for me. And recently, as I become a better version of myself, I've decided that it's time for me to go to therapy because I understand how life can be a little overwhelming and we all need help navigating through the trenches of military service in and out of uniform. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, all you got to do is go to their site. Matter of fact, you can use my link right here. Answer a few questions and BetterHelp will match you with a professional who has years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call or video chat or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You will be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your home. Visit betterhelp.com/MeechSpeaks and enjoy a special discount on your first month.
I want to say something. A prize, motherfucker.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm Demetrius Thigpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of the Talking Crazy podcast. Now, before we get started with this podcast, don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review, because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. You know, I'm going to just be completely honest with everybody here. This may not be my best episode. You know what I mean? Like, this one may not be one of my best episodes. It may not be as structured as my normal episodes. You know, it may not flow a little bit the way that it like my normal episodes was. I might be actually all over the place. I'm gonna just be completely honest with you. I might actually be all over the place. And this is the last episode of the year, last episode of 2024. And to be honest with you, I'm spiraling, bro. I'm spiraling. I'm not in control. I'm really having a rough time. I'm mentally drained. I'm emotionally exhausted. I'm in survival mode. I'm trying to come out of survival mode. I'm trying to be present in the moment. I'm trying to do all of this shit that I normally say and hoping that it applies to me. And I had to ask myself that if you're truly mentally exhausted, like if you're truly emotionally drained, like if you truly are in survival mode, then why the fuck are you recording? And the reality is, man, is that I need to record, man. And when I really put it into perspective, for most of my end of year episodes, I always come in with tips. I always come in with things that are going to set us up for the new year. But to be honest with you, I think this episode really, I'm just going to just tell it how it is. And if there's a lesson that can be learned, bro, just go ahead and pull it out. You feel me? And I think one of the main reasons why I'm even here recording is because when I first started podcasting, like when I very first started podcasting, I had no answers. In fact, when I first started podcasting, I actually was at my lowest point. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people always ask me, like, what got you into podcasting? And to be honest with you, I just really just needed a place to talk. I just really just needed a place to vent. I just really needed a place to get a lot of shit off my chest because I didn't feel comfortable talking to other people about it. You know what I mean? Like I really just never felt comfortable talking to people that are going to see me the next day and now they know my fucking problems. You know what I mean? So I always kept a lot of the shit to myself and decided that, you know what, I'll just record and I'll post and maybe it might help me just deal with it a little bit better, you know? So with that, I came into the scenario saying to myself that I may not have the answers right now when I press record, but maybe at the end of the episode, I'll have a couple of those answers. I think another reason why I'm even recording, man, is because of the simple fact that I just can't stay here, you know? And I'm pretty sure a lot of us have heard that saying before. You know, you ever heard that saying where they say, if you're in the middle of hell, why even stay? You know what I mean? Like, keep going. If you're in the middle of a storm, you got to keep going. You know, it's one of those moments where I've waddled in my own misery. You know, I've been isolated long enough. I've been in survival mode long enough. And if I don't do anything, then that's all I am going to do, if that makes sense. You know, like if I don't get up and start being active, if I don't get up and start recording, if I don't get up and just do something, then I'm honestly just going to just be miserable. I'm just going to dwell on shit that I can't control. I'm just going to sit alone, isolated, away from everybody. I'm going to pour me a drink. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. I'm going to be to myself. And the thing is that at some point, bro, like you got to do something. You got to do something. Even if it ain't perfect, you got to still do something. Even if it sounds like shit, you got to do something. Even if it ain't your best work, you got to still do something. But lastly, and I think this is the most important thing, and if you can't pull anything out of this episode, I think the real reason why I'm here recording, despite how I'm feeling right now, is because I know at some point, somebody else is going to go through this. You know what I mean? It may be sometime in 2025. It may be sometime in 2026. Whenever they hear this episode, you know what I mean? Like they're going to be going through it and they're going to feel the exact same way that I'm feeling right now. You know, where it feels like as if everything else is out of your control. You really can't go and talk to anybody because let's just be frank for a second. And I don't know who need to hear this, but even when I'm at my lowest point, no, I don't want to fucking talk. No, I don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Because you won't say the exact same shit that everybody else says. I'm here if you need me. I know how you feel. Let me know how it gets. That's about as far as it's going to go. But at the end of the day, when we get off the phone and those lights shut off, I'm still stuck with this shit on my own. I'm by myself in this. And I know it's somebody right now that's probably going to feel the exact same way. That they stuck in this shit on their own. By themselves, they going through this. And everybody else is saying that they there if they need them. But at the exact same time, you don't know exactly how I'm feeling or what I'm going through. Because it's not happening to you. And deep down, you thanking God that it's not happening to you. So whoever decides to listen to this episode, if you going through it, understand, bro, I'm in that shit right now as we speak. I'm going through that shit right now as we speak. My life is not together, bro. I'm spiraling. So as you feel like nobody else is understanding exactly what's going on with you right now, bro, trust me, I do. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually here today. So with that being said, man, let's just go ahead. Let's talk about 2024 and let's set ourselves up for 2025. And the best way that I can tell you is that one thing for a fact, two things for a certain, 2024 has been shitty for me. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with this episode and talk about the lessons that I've learned from 2024 and how I'm going to take them lessons and carry them on over to 2025. So let me just start by saying that 2024 has been probably one of the worst years that I've ever experienced. And I've experienced some shitty years. Don't get me wrong. Like I've experienced some shitty years, but 2024 has made its way to my top 5 of bad years, you know? And I was listening to a podcast recently, and that's how you know I'm in the trenches right now, bro. I'm listening to other people talk to me about what the fuck is going on. But I was listening to another episode of somebody's podcast. I forget his name, but he was telling me that you go through ambushes within your life. You know what I mean? Like you go through certain ambushes where it just feels like shit is just falling apart in your life. And when he said that, I kind of was like, God damn, man, like how many ambushes am I going to keep going through? You know what I mean? Like why am I getting suppressed? You know what I mean? But it also resonated with me, you know, and if I could say that 2024 has been anything, I would definitely say that it was an ambush because I didn't see it coming. I'm not even about to lie to you. I did not see this coming. I came into the year. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I walked into this motherfucking year head high, chest out. You know, I'm coming off of a conference. You feel me? I'm doing a media run. You know, this had all the potential to be a successful year for me. It had all the potential to be a successful year for me. And I could not wrap my head around why, dude. Came into the year swinging, thinking this shit was going to be great. I already did a couple of speaking engagements at the end of the year. Podcasts are starting to gain some momentum. My content is going the way that it's supposed to. Boom, I find out I'm not even getting promoted. Matter of fact, I'm actually getting passed over for promotion. And I even took that on the chin in silence. I ain't really talk too much about that. I poured me a stiff drink and I just kept that one to myself. Moved across the country. Hopped into a new MOS. Recruiting duty beating my ass. I ain't even about to lie to you. Personal problems started to pile up. Next thing you know, I'm in a state of survival mode. And I'm wondering, like, what the hell's going on, man? Like, this is supposed to be my year. I was supposed to have a solid year. And the one thing that I've learned is don't let your imagination and expectation for something ruin the reality of what it could be. All right? A lot of times we walk into a situation. Let me rephrase that, because a lot of times I walk into a situation. I already done created it in my head. I've already been waiting for it. You know what I mean? But for some reason, the thing that I created in my head, the thing that I have been waiting for, it does not happen, you know? And now I find myself with low expectations of it now. And now I find myself with these high expectations that come crashing down. Then I find myself wondering what the fuck went wrong. This ain't what I imagined it to be. This wasn't the expectation. Moving forward as we go into 2025, I have no expectations for anything. I don't have any expectations. What it is what it's going to be. And what it is what I exactly see it in front of me. I'm not about to create something that I ain't never experienced before. Now, does that not mean that I'm not going to prepare for things? That's not necessarily the case, because I've always been the type of person to prepare for things, you know? But I have no expectations. If it turns out good, that's great. If it turns out bad, well, I kind of expected that too. But I'm not going to let my imagination and my expectation for the situation drive the narrative for the reality of it. Because that's the surefire way of me being let down. And I bring that up, man, because a lot of us, we got goals, we got aspirations, we got shit that we plan on doing for 2025. And you think that this is exactly how it's going to go. In fact, you've been planning for it. You've been expecting it. You've been telling people this is what it's going to be. And if it doesn't go like that, how the fuck are you going to react? You gonna be you gonna bounce back from it? Or you gonna let that shit consume you? And that's exactly what it ended up doing to me. I start falling apart every single time that something wasn't going the way that I expected it to. Because I would sit back and I would ask myself, why the fuck is it doing that? I was expected to win. It was expected to be a success. Why the fuck is it doing that? And it would come crashing down. So if I could say anything for the lesson, man, I would say, don't let your imagination and an expectation of something be the narrative for what the reality is going to be. What it is what it is. And that's exactly what it is. The next lesson that I've learned is just put yourself in everything that you do. And I'm going to say that again, man, because I don't know who need to hear this, but put yourself first in everything that you do. You know what I mean? Like, put yourself first in everything that you do. Okay? I cannot stress this enough. This entire year, I have not been the priority. You know, and it's so fucking crazy, man, because I will sit there until I'm blue in the face and tell everybody that you should be the priority. But behind closed doors, I always make myself second priority, whether that's with family, whether that's with friends, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's just for the organization, whether that's for any fucking thing. I always think of myself second. And for some reason this year, I was second or third priority in my list. Me. I'm second and third in my own fucking priority list. And what I have learned is that everybody else will make sure that they're the priority on their list. They will make sure that their needs and wants are top priority. You will come second, you will come third, you will come fourth, you will come fifth, depending on what the importance is in someone else's life. So when I tell you to make yourself, right, the number one fucking priority, you got to make yourself the number one priority. The decisions that you make You have to be the one that is the priority in that. Like, the decision can't be for somebody else. The decision's got to be about you. Like, are you going to be happy in this situation? Are you going to be successful in this situation? Is this situation going to bring you longevity? If it doesn't, then it shouldn't even be on the fucking table. You know what I mean? It immediately drops down a priority because it does not benefit you. You need to walk into this year, and I'm going to say this, and I cannot stress this enough. You got to walk into this year as the number one priority. So I will say this again because I don't know who needs to hear this. But you have to make yourself the number one priority. I walked into this year second and third. Drove across the country, hopped in a new MOS. And I'm the second or third priority. And then I would get upset when no one else made me a priority on their list. I would get upset when I wasn't a number one priority. And the reason why I would get upset is because I was looking at everybody else saying to myself, like, but you're the number one priority on mine. I'm doing this to see you happy. I'm doing this to see you succeed. I'm doing this for your benefit. I reap nothing from this. Yet you still put me second and third on yours. And it breaks my heart. I walk into a situation humble. Come into the situation humble when I know I'm a fucking king. But I come in with my hand out. I'm a published author, podcaster. Successful on top of that. I've been flown out so people can hear me fucking speak. I've signed books with my fucking name on it. I've been recognized in crowds by the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. And when I walk into a room, I make myself the second priority. I walk into a room, third priority, the most humble person in the room. Like this. And I'm upset because nobody else put me number one on theirs. They chose them or they took advantage of it. And that's the big thing that I want a lot of people to understand is that when you choose to put yourself second and third, that shit is something that people will pick up, man. They pick that up. Oh, this person don't really give a fuck. All right. Hey, he said, hey, do what you got to do. Take care of it. He said that you number one on his fucking list, so let's go ahead and let's take advantage of that. Let's exploit that. I mean, he's second and third on his list, then I guess what? He's second and third on mine too. Why the fuck would I put him number one? And they take advantage of it. And the whole time, you fucking great. And I don't know who need to hear this right now. And I don't know where you at while you listening to this episode. What space that you in. But don't forget that you fucking great, dog. You second and third. I don't understand why when you supposed to be number one. You getting treated as if like you ain't that person when you really that guy. Stop fucking letting them play with you like that. Stop playing with yourself like that. Going into 2025, everything you do, you have to be the number one priority. You have to put yourself first in everything that you fucking do. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Nobody else will. And I think my last lesson really comes from where I'm at right now mentally. You know what I mean? Mentally, I'm fucking up. I'm kind of drained. Emotionally, I'm exhausted. And I'm in this state of survival. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in this state of survival. And usually I go into this state when I'm suppressed. You know what I mean? Like when I already got a lot of shit going on in my life, or, you know, I'm dealing with some bad shit, or I'm dealing with something that is out of my control. And the only thing that I can't fucking do is just think about it. And because the only thing that I can do is think about it, I devote all of my time to just fucking thinking about it. You know what I mean? And the problem is that because now I've devoted all my time to thinking, I don't want a podcast. I don't want to create content. I mean, how can you when you can't even think about it? I don't want to go to the gym because I don't want to do anything but think about the issues that's going on in my life. And I know a lot of us have probably been there. You feel me? Like I know a lot of us have probably been there. where when you reach that state, you don't want to do anything. And I think that's usually when most people stop doing anything, to be honest with you. Everything was going good. You started going to the gym. You started to do that goal. You started to make that podcast. You started to write that book. You started to do all of these things that you set out to do. But as soon as you had a bad day, you feel me? As soon as shit wasn't going the way that it was supposed to, you needed a moment, which I completely understand. We all do. But that moment turned into a day. Them days, they turned to weeks. Weeks turn to months, months turn to years, and you realize that you put it down for so long. What's the purpose of even picking it back up? Or maybe you had some consistency. Maybe you had a little motion. But the thing is because you stopped moving, you feel me? You stopped moving, it died back down, and you got to rebuild that. So every step that you took, you got to now retake all those steps again. And I will tell you right now, man, that's exactly what the fuck I do. That's exactly what I did this time, too. I sat in the dark. I poured a drink. I smoked. I listened to music. I did everything. I thought. I asked ChatGPT, and I don't know who need to hear this, but I be asking ChatGPT all type of shit. You feel me? I be asking it all type of shit. And I just sat there and I just stayed in that exact same circle, and I wallowed in my misery until I couldn't wallow in my own misery anymore. And I thought about it and I overthought about it till I couldn't overthink it anymore. And then it just finally fucking hit me that what am I going to do? In the very beginning, I said that I couldn't stay here any longer. And that's exactly what I mean. I couldn't stay there any longer. It felt like as if I was just standing outside and the rain was just pouring on me. I can't stay there any longer. It felt like I had my hand on the stove and it keeps getting hotter, and I just realized I can't stay here any longer. It felt like I was in the middle of some shit that just wasn't going my way, and I realized, man, I just can't stay here any longer. And I will tell you this right now, man, when you go into this new year, is everything going to work out the way that it's supposed to? Absolutely fucking not, and you know that. You fucking know that this year ain't gonna go the way that it's supposed to. But you gotta be prepared for shit to go wrong. You already gotta have that in the back of your mind. None of this shit's gonna be perfect for you. If you saying to yourself right now that I'm gonna start going to the fucking gym, understand that, guess what? You gonna have more bad days than you is good days. So you might as well just go ahead and work around that. If you saying that you're gonna start fucking content, then understand that you're going to have more bad days than you have good days. If you're saying you're going to go back to school, get you a fucking degree, guess what? You're going to have more bad days than you have good days, because life don't really give a fuck about what day it gives you. It's about how you handle the fucking day. So if you want your shit to go the way that it's supposed to go, if you want to accomplish the things that you've been planning to accomplish, then you got to be prepared to be able to perform under pressure. Let me rephrase that. You got to be prepared to perform under them bad days. Regardless of the situation, if your ass suppressed, you still got to return fucking fire. Because regardless of the situation, them goals that you had plans for, they still gonna be there. You feel me? That expectation that you had for yourself, it may have been up here and it may now be right here. But guess what? The job still got to get done. The work still got to happen. Because if you say that you want it, regardless of the situation, good, bad, or indifferent, you still got to do it. And if you can perform on them bad days, right? Like if you could perform on those bad days when shit's not going your way, when you want to overthink, when you want to give up, when you want to pour you a fucking drink, when you want to smoke that fucking cigarette, when you don't want to talk to nobody else because you feel like nobody else ain't really fucking hearing you anyway, and you can still perform? Bro, think about what you would do on the good days. When shit going your way. And the one thing that I just want to close this episode out with is that if you're going to have bad days, also recognize them good ones too. You feel me? Be able to recognize when it's good, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you'll get into a state where you're so used to bad shit that you only know how to perform in bad situations. You expected something bad to happen. I ain't saying that you ain't prepared for it, but you expecting it rather than just letting things just play out. Let it be what it is. And if it turns out that it's good, you finally get that motion. You finally get into that rhythm. You start to see them results. Enjoy it. And as we come to a close of this episode, I don't know where you at right now on your journey. And I don't know when you gonna hear this episode. I don't. If you decide to listen to it December 31st, January 1st, fucking April 25th, you know what I mean? Understand that where you at right now, you ain't alone. You ain't alone. Because I'm in that space too, bro. I'm in that space too.
And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, and leave this podcast an honest review because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Also, don't forget to head on over to TikTok or Instagram and follow me at Meech Speaks. That's right, Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled Meech. Stay motivated, stay healthy. I'm out.